Republic Day 2026 and the recasting of Indian military power. Operation Sindoor, Jointness and the Architecture of Modern Deterrence. Introduction: Republic Day as a Strategic Theatre. The 77th Republic Day Parade of India on January 26, 2026 was not a ceremonial routine. It was a deliberate strategic broadcast aimed simultaneously at domestic audience, adversaries and global partners. Staged, staged as at Kartavya Path under the watch of Srimati Draupadi Murmu and attended by senior European leadership Antonio Costa and Ursula von der Leyen, the parade functioned as a state-level declaration of intent. This was the first Republic Day after Operation Sindoor, an official acknowledged limited-duration, high-intensity military operation conducted in early May 2025 following the Pahalgam terror attack. The parade therefore served a dual purpose: commemoration and consolidation. It translated battlefield narrative into doctrines and doctrine into visible capacity. Operation Sindoor: From Event to Doctrine. Operation Sindoor is presented not merely as a retaliatory strike but as a proof of doctrinal maturity. The language surrounding it, precise, jointness, controlled escalation, minimal collateral damage, is significant. India was not adversing rage, it was adversing control. The parade framed Operation Sindoor as a operational manifestation of three interlinked principles: jointness across domain, air, land, sea, cyber, and space-enabled ISR, speed and depth of strike, and escalation dominance without full-spectrum war. In strategic terms, India was signaling that it now possesses the ability to choose the rung of the escalation ladder, not merely react to adversary provocation. The Tri-Services W. Victory through jointness. The most symbolic dense segment of the parade was the Tri-Services W, titled Operation Sindoor: Victory through Jointness. This W was not a decorative was not decorative, it was didactic. Didactic. Naval primacy and sea denial. The W opened with a representation of Indian naval dominance, emphasizing control of sea lanes and denial of adversary maneuver. This aligns with India's evolving Indo-Pacific posture, where maritime security, carrier operations, and anti-ship capabilities are central to deterrence. Firepower and ground resolve. At the core stood the M777 ultra-light howitzer, underscoring India's emphasis on high-mobility precision artillery, especially in mountains and high-altitude theaters. The presence of such system reinforces Army's role as the decisive holding and shaping force in limited wars. Layered air defense, Akash and S-400. Behind the artillery were India's air defense assets, the Akash air defense system symbolizing indigenous short to medium range protection, and the S-400 Triumph, representing strategic long-range denial. Together, they project the idea of a layered integrated air defense umbrella, a prerequisite for executing offensive air operations with reduced risk. Unmanned precision warfare, a head-up loitering munition featured prominently, signaling India's increasing reliance on SEAD-DEED suppression, destruction of enemy air defenses, and unmanned strike capabilities. This is a critical adaptation to modern warfare, where drones and loitering munitions often shape the battle space before manned platforms engage. Air power as strategic messaging. Rafale, BrahMos, and the Flypast. Rafale and the Scalp. The Operation Sindoor W carried a Dassault Rafale armed with Scalp missiles. This combination represents a clear message: India can strike deep, precisely, and from standoff ranges, reducing exposure to enemy air defenses. The Sukhoi 30 MKIs and BrahMos. Alongside it, the Sukhoi 30 MKI launching the BrahMos illustrated India's ability to destroy hardened targets and critical infrastructure at speed. The symbolism here is about irreversibility. Once launched, the strike cannot be easily countered. The Sindoor Formation. The flypast featured a dedicated Sindoor formation comprising Rafales, MiG-29s, Sukhoi 30 MKIs, and a Jaguar in spearhead configuration. This was not aerobatics, it was a visual order of battle showing diversity, interoperability, and mass. DRDO and the hypersonic threshold. One of the most consequential displays was the unveiling of the Defense Research and Development Organization's Long Range Anti-Ship Missile (LRASHM), described as a hypersonic glide missile with ranges up to 1,500 kilometers and speed reaching up to Mach 10 in its boost phase. The LRASHM signals India's entry into an elite strategic club. Even if full operational maturity is still evolving, the message is unmistakable. India intends to complicate adversary naval planning by threatening high-value assets at extreme ranges. Armored and mechanized infantry, as well as ground defense forces. Main battle tanks. The parade featured the T-90 Bhishma upgraded with drone-enabled surveillance and enhanced fire control. The Arjun Mk-1, protected by Kanchan armor and NBC systems. Their presence reinforced that despite the drone revolution, armor remains central to territorial control and breakthrough operations. Mechanized infantry and ISR integration. The BMP-2, equipped with thermal sights, anti-tank missiles, and ISR drones, demonstrated India's emphasis on networked battlefield awareness, where infantry, armor, and drones operate as a single combatant system. Special Forces, drones, and robotic warfare. Elite Special Forces units showcase capabilities for deep penetration, intelligence gathering, and precision strikes. Their integration with loitering munitions, FBP strike drones, robotic dogs, and UGVs highlight a doctrinal shift: soldiers as commanders of systems, not just weapons. This reduces casualties while expanding reach. The Indian Navy W, Maritime Identity and Power Projection. The Indian Navy's W, themed anchored in tradition, sailing into self-reliance and innovation, featured INS Vikrant and INSV Tarini. It linked ancient seafaring heritage with modern carrier-centric power projections, reinforcing India's claim as a net security provider in the Indian Ocean region. Republic Day of 2026 in strategic perspective. This parade, this parade did three things simultaneously: normalized the idea of calibrated military action as a legitimate tool of statecraft, demonstrated credible deterrence without declaring hostility, repositioned India as a technologically sophisticated, self-reliant military power aligned with major geographically globally high-value blocs, particularly Europe. Republic Day of 2026 was not about celebrating hardware, it was about asserting sovereignty through systems, doctrine, and restraint. Operation Sindoor was the catalyst, the parade was the consolidation. In essence, India was saying, we see first, we decide first, and if required, we strike, precisely, jointly, and on our terms. This is the true significance of the Republic Day of 2026.